I had a question regarding that incarnation part.
Yep.
Is beside location, is also the religion or the culture that you come into, is that also part of it, the plan?
Exactly. Every new soul that comes into a culture or a faith or a family structure, that new soul, God's intention is that new soul would stretch that culture or family structure in love in some way. That's the intention. But the trouble is, most parents mould the child into their unloving ways. And so while God's intention is a loving direction, most parents have an intention of moulding the child into an unloving direction, unfortunately, moulding them into being mini-me's. You know, mini the same as me, many ideas the same as mine, and so forth. Oftentimes that's the case. So unfortunately, God's intention for our progress as humanity is often lost on us because of our own injuries and our own beliefs and our own structures of belief that are not just religious in nature, they're also societal in nature and economic in nature, and all of these other belief structures that we have a tendency to mould the child and restrict the child. And many of you would know, you've experienced some of this in your own life, where you've been moulded and restricted by society, by constructs, into being a certain person. And now when you look at yourself, you're saying, who am I? Like, what am I meant to do? What's my life meant to be? Because this doesn't feel like what it meant to be. So, because, for many people on earth, they're unhappy, they have no direction, there's no goals, there's no loving purpose for their future. They don't really see a future. They just see living out their life until they pass. Or if they do believe in a future, they sort of believe, my purpose is just to have a family, and then what happens after that? You have your family, they all leave, and now I'm a grandmother or a grandfather, and then after that happens, then I die. So does that sound to you like a very intelligent purpose for life? Because isn't that exactly what an animal does? Of course it is. So God's intention was that we have a much greater expansive life than this. But for us to learn to have an expansive life, when people are incarnating, they must challenge the system. You know what I mean? The system that's already there has to be challenged in some way by these new people. But unfortunately, frequently the new people get conformed rather than the new people challenging the people who try to get conformity. So in other words, the new people are being moulded rather than the people who are welcoming these new people into society, these children into society, allowing them to mould the adult, allowing them to see the adult needs to make loving changes, you see? Yeah.
And it's not to say, though, that you should give authority to your children in your family, because...
That's not what I'm suggesting. We'll talk about that a bit later, maybe.
Yeah, and perhaps I could just mention something about will.
Yep.
So, of course, when we're born, we've got this, or when we incarnate, we've got this pristine kind of nature that God has given us, but we have no experience of the exercise of our will. We don't understand that we have a will that can be used either in a loving direction or an unloving direction for our desires, for our addictions. We don't understand that. And so there's a common misconception that children are perfect when they're born, but actually children...
blank perfect.
They have the potential for that, but they don't yet understand the use of will. And so God's purpose in our incarnation is that we incarnate, and then we learn through the operation of her laws that how to express our personality and nature, which is unique to our whole soul, in harmony with love, in harmony with passion and desire that's loving. And this is how those challenges happen in the family that Jesus is talking about. When your child is given that freedom, then they will naturally trigger things within yourself that are unloving. But the issue we see a lot is that either children's will is completely suppressed or completely empowered without any education in love. And that's really, that's what we're doing.
Which is very damaging, yeah. Very damaging to the child and to society, of course.